To better manage some of the risks that are associated with third-party supply chains, here are 7 tips that you can implement in your organization today. Well, let's hold it there for a second and let's try to understand why third parties are such an important thing. So let's go back in time to 2014 when GE CEO Jeff Imlet said,
"If you go to bed tonight in an industrial company, you're going to wake up tomorrow morning a software and analytical company." And this is one of the biggest changes of this generation.
I think that's true, but I also think he missed a part out, that you're also going to wake up as a third-party management organization. Supply chain is a bit of a simplistic term, and actually supply web is perhaps more appropriate because there are many pieces connected to others and we're not always sure about the relationship. For example, the COVID-19 pandemic caused the price of methamphetamine in San Diego to rise from $5 to $7. How did this 40% increase occur? Well, Wuhan in China was one of the first areas to be affected by the pandemic. And what's not really well known is Wuhan is one of the major suppliers of the chemicals used in the production of meth. So, while they went into lockdown, cargo planes were also grounded. These planes were used to transport the chemicals from Wuhan to the Mexican cartels, who then used it to create meth. The pandemic also caused the border between Mexico and the US to shut down, and therefore supply dried up, and where there's less supply and more demand, prices go up, and that accounted for the 40% price rise in San Diego from $5 to $7. Supply chains also shift the value of business around, so it's not always clear on the surface what the actual source of revenue or real value for an organization is. Take McDonald's for example. On the surface, it's a fast food giant serving hamburgers, cheeseburgers, fries, drinks. But that's not really where the real actual value of the organization is. In 1956, Harry J. Sonneborn was hired by Ray Kroc, who saw the real value in McDonald's wasn't in the burgers but in real estate. The idea was to have McDonald's sublease the land and building for each restaurant to the franchisees. This eventually developed to take out mortgages, so McDonald's would both own the buildings and the land. So while it can appear that the value of McDonald's lies in its burgers, it's actually right underneath their feet.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great.
Dollar Shave Club is a great success story, bursting onto the scene offering affordable razor blades to its customers, delivered in the comfort of their own homes. They were subsequently acquired by Unilever in 2016 for the tune of $1 billion. And the company's success was largely down to being able to tap into a robust supply chain. AWS made it easy and affordable to start and scale a company that could scale and compete with larger, well-funded rivals. Similarly, YouTube made it easy for them to create and distribute their videos, while social media like Facebook and Twitter enabled these videos to be shared with millions. What is also true though is had any one of these single components or suppliers failed or the relationship broken down, the business may not have been sold for what it was. To better manage some of the risks that are associated with third-party supply chains. And that brings us back to where we started. Hopefully now we all agree that supply chains are important, but they are complicated. They carry a lot of risk, but they are extremely valuable. So with that in mind, let's dive back into it. Here are 7 tips that you can implement in your organization today. Conduct a business impact assessment. This is to help you understand what dependency your organization has on the third party. What data do they have access to? And how vital are they to actually the income or the customer support? Maintain an inventory of partners, and this is probably one of the easiest things to say and the most difficult things to do. But it's so important to maintain an accurate and up-to-date inventory and manage all the changing relationships as well. Get legal involved early. Have a documented security policy that's not only easy to follow and technically correct, but also legally enforceable. So what are the data handling requirements and what do you expect your partner to do with them? Now, particularly when you're dealing with smaller organizations, they might not understand security or perceive it the same way as you do. So communicate and invest some time in that relationship. You might need to educate them as to why security is important to you and why they should take it more seriously, but do spend the time investing into it. It's really easy to get paper assurance or verbal assurance, but what you really need to do is get technical assurance on critical systems. Evaluate the effectiveness of the controls that the third parties has. No one likes incidents and having to plan for them, but draw up a joint plan, map out what the roles and responsibilities are, and also include PR and comms plans within that. Finally, have an exit strategy in place, and this is not something people want to consider, but just think about it. What's the best way you can exit the relationship? How do you guarantee that all your data is secured or deleted, and back that up with technical and legal assurances? Consider things like what happens if the third party goes out of business or they get acquired or a competitor buys them. What alternatives do you have? Well, those are the 7 tips. I hope you found them useful. Here are some additional questions you might want to ask yourself or your vendor management team. Supply chains are great and they've allowed businesses to do more today than they have in the past at any point. But there are risks that are associated, so the important thing is about understanding those risks and taking the appropriate measures. And before I sign off, a word from my employer. And if you're looking for an affordable and simple GRC platform to manage your compliance and risk needs, look at KCM by KnowBe4. It features a powerful vendor risk management module which allows you to keep track of all your vendors, their risk score, status, issues, and keep track of questionnaires. Visit knowbe4.com to find out more and to request a demo.